feel like old home week. That was my station for a long time. One place to work. We had volunteers back then. No, I showered before I showed up. Yes, ma'am. I will continue to be the BCO. That's just what they decided to call that position for some reason.
6:01. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our October 3rd, 2023 meeting for York City Council. It is 6 p.m., actually 6:01 p.m., and we will open it up to public comment on non-agenda items only. We will adjourn our public comment session, and I will call our legislative meeting to order at 6:01 p.m. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Dennis.
Here.
Buckingham.
Here.
Rivera.
Here.
Washington.
Here.
Walker.
Here. And if you're able to, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. We will now take action on previous meeting minutes from September 19th, 2023. Any edits to those minutes, Council?
No.
Hearing none, all in favor of approving, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those minutes are approved. No presentations, awards, or announcements. Our next legislative meeting will be held on Tuesday, October 17th at 6 p.m. in council chambers. Agenda items are due by 12 noon on October 11th. Our next council committee meeting is scheduled for October 25th, 2023 at 6 p.m. here in council chambers. Agenda items are due by 12 noon on October 18th. No reports for prior committee referrals, so we will move to our legislative agenda. Up first, final passage of Bill number 51.
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Oh, that's bill number 51, ordinance number 50, which was introduced by Washington at the September 19th meeting of council. A bill amending the 2023 budget in the amount of $613,209 for money not otherwise appropriated for Fund 50 for the purchase of new fire apparatus.
Business Administrator, anything you want to say in regards to this item?
Yes, this just represents several years of purposely funding the capital fund, Fund 50, for the fire department in anticipation of the need for the apparatus that we're ordering here in the next couple weeks.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council?
None.
No.
Any questions or comments from the public? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Dennis.
Yes.
Buckingham.
Yes.
Rivera.
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes. And that is so ordered. Moving on to final passage of Bill number 90.
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
That is resolution number 90, and that is resolution number 90, which was introduced by Washington at the September 19th meeting of council. It's a resolution amending the fees for Article 1761 of the codified ordinances. And 1761 is licensing and inspection of tenant. I'm sorry, I was talking all that time without my, sorry, Cliff. It is Article 1761 is licensing and inspection of tenant occupied residential and all institutional occupancies.
Chief, anything to say in regards to this item?
Good evening. This represents an attempt for us to slowly begin to
increase licensing and other costs that have not been increased since 2012. As you know, our costs have dramatically risen since 2012. However, if this fee represents approximately $1 on every license, it's not a huge revenue boost. I think I figured it to be about $24,000. But if we periodically, on a more, I guess I should say on a more frequent basis, make smaller increases like this, it's much easier for the property owners to sustain. It's easier on the tenants. They don't get hit with a huge rent increase because the city fees have increased. So this is just a baby step on the way to try to continue to recoup the costs involved with managing the tenant-occupied property licensing and inspection program.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council?
None.
No.
I have none.
Any questions or comments from the public? Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Dennis.
Yes.
Buckingham.
Yes.
Rivera.
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes. And that is so ordered. Moving on to final passage of resolution number 91. Chief, I was going to say.
Move to approve.
Second.
That is a resolution amending the fees for Article 1761 foreclosure property registry and maintenance of 1730 of the property, whatever. What is it? Amending the fees for Article 1730 foreclosure property registry and maintenance of the codified ordinances.
It has been moved and seconded. Chief, anything in addition?
This just brings our fee more in line with other municipalities across the Commonwealth. It's a fee that's charged to banks for properties that they have foreclosed on and that are sitting and not having anything done with them. In addition to the fact that they pay the registration fee, then it also gives us a direct line through the software with the new company that we just signed on with to reach out to them for maintenance issues. So if there is a problem with a foreclosed property, we'll be able to go online, get the contact information and reach out to whatever bank it is that happens to be holding the property and hopefully get some maintenance done on it.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council?
I have none.
Questions or comments from the public? Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Dennis.
Yes.
Buckingham.
Yes.
Rivera.
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes. And that is so ordered. Only 2 items for consideration of a consent agenda. I believe that there is going to be some discussion on items. So is there a motion to proceed with the consent agenda? All right. Moving on to new business. We have, I believe this would be resolution number 92?
It'd be Resolution 101.
101, okay.
And that's you, Equina.
So introduce.
That's resolution number 101, introduced by Equina Washington, and that is a resolution, oh, I think I have it backwards in your packets. I apologize for that. It's on the last page of your packets. Resolution number 101, and that is a resolution approving the preliminary final subdivision plan submitted by Sperry Trust Lutheran for work to be done at 1050 Pennsylvania Avenue to subdivide the housing cottages from the current office building. And that's it.
Thank you. I do believe we have some representatives. Would you like to come up?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Craig Smith with RGS Associates, and with me is Bob Rundle with Spirit Trust Lutheran. So the plan that's before City Council is pretty straightforward. It's simply taking a 3-acre property that's along Pennsylvania Avenue. The pink line that's being shown here is a proposed subdivision line. There will be approximately 2 acres on this side that will retain the cottages shown here, and about 1 acre that is going to subdivide the current office building. So the office building is currently underused and has been since COVID has happened, and really their intent is to subdivide this property to ultimately sell the property off. So no physical improvements are proposed by this plan. It's simply a subdivision line. We have worked through the comments from the city. We have worked through the comments from York County Planning Commission. There's only one item that is outstanding, which is to determine the EDU sewer allocation for each of the properties. It's just clarification. Again, we're not asking for additional capacity. It's simply a clarification. We actually have a call tomorrow to determine that with York Water and with CS Davidson. So that's really the project. There is a waiver of the preliminary plan associated with that the Planning Commission acted on at their meeting. But that's really what's being proposed.
Thank you.
So the office building, which actually sits amid cottages, there are cottages on one side of it and on the other side of it.
No, so the office building is actually located here, and then the subdivision line, and then the 2 buildings over here are the cottages. So
Where's Pennsylvania?
Pennsylvania Avenue is,
Okay.
But there are cottages on the other side to the, yeah, I don't know.
No, they're individual, I'm sorry, I'm Bob Randall. They are individual homes.
Can you come up to the microphone so the public, we are airing it.
I'm sorry, Pennsylvania Avenue is right here. I'm sorry, you can't, it's hard to see.
Yeah,
I'm looking at it backwards, okay.
that's why. Yeah.
Good evening, I'm Bob Rundle. The homes on the other side that you referred to are individual family homes that are not associated with Spirit Trust Lutheran.
On Kelly Drive,
That's correct.
I gotcha. Okay, I was looking at it, thinking Pennsylvania Avenue was below it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yep.
He said they were
Bob, I had a quick question,
part of the subdivision.
and this is probably
Not over.
a sidebar off topic, but how does this new warehouse or this proposed warehouse affect your business?
We don't know. I have written a letter. I believe you may have already received that. Our residents are concerned. We're concerned from the viewpoint of the amount of truck traffic that'll be on the road. Our residents are older, as we know, and pulling in and out of off of Kelly Drive. I'm concerned for their safety. We don't know what the noise implications are at this point, but I believe it's both traffic pattern and safety of the residents transgressing. Plus, we're worried about Deaver Elementary School. Kids are walking that road constantly, so that's kind of what we're looking at this point. If you're asking why, the question you may ask is why are we looking to subdivide the building? When COVID hit, it cost Spirit Trust Lutheran over $45 million was the negative impact over the period. We were able to garner about $25 million from various funding sources, including the county. But the other $20 million pretty much drained the bank. So this is going to allow us to continue to lease back the building and put dollars back into Spirit Trust so they can continue their mission.
We appreciate your work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions from the public? Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Dennis,
Yes.
Buckingham,
Yes.
Rivera,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Walker.
Yes. And that is so ordered. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
And moving on to our last item, resolution number 102.
So introduced.
Resolution number 102, introduced by Edquina Washington, a resolution accepting the recommendations of HARB and denying an application for work to be done at, sorry, I don't have it in front of me, 403 East King Street.
Move to approve.
Second. Oh, is it an introduction?
No, it's a
No,
resolution.
it's a resolution.
We all are.
It has been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from council?
None. I have none.
I do. I drove by the property. I think anything they do to that property might be an improvement. So
Yeah, I did as well. It's just when I was looking at the meeting minutes, it wasn't enough detail, and the the representative wasn't present at the HARB meeting, and no one is here either to give us more information. So I believe, Chief, correct us if we're wrong, but if they would want to come before HARB again, they could at some point. But they need to be present at that meeting, and then also, I would suggest them, if it comes to council, be present at the council meeting so we can get a bit more detail.
I think Betsy brings up a great point, though. That's one of the issues we have is that sometimes we're shooting ourselves in our foot, right? But do you have any opinion on this, Chief? But you sit on the board, don't you?
Imagine that. Having not been a great fan of HARB for many, many years, I did sit on the board. I do sit on the board currently, and I find that the current board is probably the most reasonable board that I've seen in place for a long time. However, there are just some things that, by the rules, they're not allowed to do, and has to come to you all for a decision on those economic things and whatnot. Economics are not one of the things that the HARB board is supposed to take into consideration. They're supposed to follow the U.S. guidelines, and that's what they do try to do most times. But if you ever get the chance to come to a HARB meeting and see the interaction between the board members and the people that are coming to ask for stuff and the recommendations that they try to make to them to try and help them. But I will say, if somebody does not show up to the board and it doesn't meet the criteria, it's going to be a denial or a recommendation for a denial from the board. But I can't disagree with you, Mr. Rivera, that at times historic preservation does tend to go against economics, and that's where you were all lucky enough to get to sit there and make those big decisions. Again, that's just a decision that council has to make when they come to you to ask for it to be overturned. But again, if they don't show up, it's a little difficult for you to make a decision to try and help them out if they can't even take time to be at the meeting.
Madam President, did you mention that they went to the meeting or not?
No, in the minutes, they're not present. So it becomes difficult to even make a decision because we can't even ask questions. But hopefully they will know the process and come before HARB again, because the property it's
a mess. And I do know that Nancy's our staff person in the department that's working with HARB right now, and she bends over backwards to let everybody know that it's in their best interest to show up at the meeting, especially if she thinks it is going to be a matter of controversy or something that the board really should turn down. She lets them know that they should show up and argue their case.
I know last month when we had an issue before us, I actually spoke to somebody on the HARB board about it. And again, they said, their hands are tied to a certain extent.
Yes.
But that's why and those folks did show up, and they encouraged them to come to council.
Absolutely. They always do.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Dennis,
Yes.
Buckingham,
Yes?
Rivera,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes. And that is so ordered. No requests for future meetings. Any council comment? Administration comment? Thank you. This meeting is adjourned.